Welcome back to Off the Course, the podcast where founders who haven't made their millions yet come to tee up honest chats and actionable advice. I'm your host Hattie, and today I'm joined by Kierian, founder of Brand Cult. We're swinging into all things branding, identity, and how you can level up your business. Ready to drive your brand forward? Let's get into it. This episode is sweetly sponsored by Sapphire Chocolate, the brand creating deliciously indulgent treats you'll absolutely love. Use our exclusive code ALLOON10 for a tasty 10% off your order. Hello and welcome to Alloon Off the Course. I am so pleased to have you on. I want to dive straight in today. I don't want to waste a second of our time. So today I have a really exciting guest. If you could introduce yourself, tell us what you do, who you are, and we'll dive right in.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. So my name is Kierian and I am the editor, creative director and cult leader of Brand Cult, which is the UK's first business newspaper. It's a premium print business newspaper for founders and entrepreneurs who want to learn more about branding, design and marketing strategies and how that can transform their business and make it absolutely obsession worthy.
I love that. What an intro. I feel like that's something you've practiced. That was seamless.
Thank you. It's my elevator pitch.
I love it.
Everybody should have one.
They should. I do find it really hard though to kind of condense your passion down to 30 seconds. Like I have my, like you say, the quick pitch, but I just feel like I could talk about business forever.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is very important to be clear and have what they call in marketing sound bites. So you should have lots of different sound bites of your business to really clearly describe what you do so people get it from the get-go. Because actually I posted about it today. If people don't understand what you do within the first 10 seconds of you describing it to them, then they lose interest. They've moved on already.
So interesting. No, that's so interesting. I was listening. I can't remember what podcast it was, but I was listening and someone basically said, if you can't explain it to a toddler, then you don't understand it well enough yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And
the same applies to your website as well. If someone clicks on your website and they don't know what you do and what you sell and the service you provide within the first couple of seconds of being on the front of your website, then you've lost them.
This is something I'm really struggling with at the minute, but we can come to all of that.
Yes.
I feel like I just have so many questions for you. So tell me about your background. Obviously, you're launching the Brand Cult, which I'm super excited for. I'm obviously subscribed and I can't wait.
Yes.
But what's your background? How have you ended up where you are now?
So how far to go back? I'm not sure, but I guess because everything builds you up as a person, so it's all important. But basically, I didn't start with a graphic design or branding or newspaper background at all. I was a single teenage mum. I had my daughter at 19 and I had a degree in English literature, but didn't know what to do with it. So I moved to New York City when I was 26 years old.
Wow.
With my 6-year-old daughter at the time. I met a guy over there and got married. He was an FBI agent and got married to him and was working. I originally was working in the dental field, but I couldn't use my dental qualifications over there. They wouldn't accept them. And so they were trying to push me to retrain, but it was going to take too long, too much money. So then I decided to become a psychiatric nurse. So I was working as a psychiatric nurse in New York City for one of the top neuropsychiatrists, but it wasn't clinical. It was basically interviewing patients who were going to court based on they had an accident, say they were like a taxi driver and they got into an accident. They're like, oh, I can never work again. I'm too traumatized. We would have to interview them and psychologically assess them if they were actually able to go back to work, and then go to court and do depositions and say, yeah, he's fine to go back to work. Like he can't be claiming workers' compensation anymore. So that was basically my life for 4 or 5 years in New York City. And it was really amazing. I loved it until my ex-husband left me for someone else.
Your life should be a romance novel.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, there's a lot more detail. I'm just summarizing it for you. You know, in between all of that, we had a really super expensive $40,000-$50,000 wedding in New York City. I got asked to be on Say Yes to the Dress because I bought my dress from Kleinfeld and they loved our story. Because of his status, he wasn't allowed to be featured on TV.
That makes sense.
So we didn't go ahead with that. But anyway, we got divorced, and that's when things were really, really difficult. What they tell you about the American dream is like totally wrong. It's not the land of opportunity. It's really difficult to survive. Not enough jobs. They're not well paid. Like I said, I was working as a nurse full time. And on top of that, so when he left, I had to work as a waitress in Applebee's. I was bartending at the weekend. I was teaching soccer at the weekend in the morning and taking my daughter along with me. I was teaching cooking lessons online. I had an Etsy store. I had so many side hustles just to get by. And it was a nightmare. It was stressful. It was horrible. And I was just at my wit's end. I was there by myself. I didn't have friends and family. Like, he'd left. I didn't have his family anymore. So it was really, really horrible. But then something amazing happened and I won the lottery.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It wasn't like the jackpot or anything. It was just a good chunk of money that I was able to pay off my debt. I was able to pay my rent a couple of months in advance and take my daughter on a little girly shopping spree and get her hair done. And I bought a car. I got like Michael Kors watch and bag and all that stuff that you do. And then I had a friend who I met in New York who moved to Hong Kong with her boyfriend. And she was like, oh my God, you've just won the lottery. How about you come across to Hong Kong for like a month over Christmas and New Year? Check it out. You've got nothing holding you back in New York anymore. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I need a holiday. Let's go. So I went over to Hong Kong for a month with my daughter and absolutely fell in love with the city. It's really there that I found the land of opportunity, because when I left, I was able to do my teaching English as a foreign language qualification online. And then I was able to get a job and an apartment all without even being there yet, and moved over a couple months later, sold all my belongings, just a couple of duffel bags and my daughter on the plane to Hong Kong. And yeah, I started working as a teacher. So my English degree and my online teaching English qualification was so easy to get, such a high paying job there. I think the very first job I got was making almost like £4,000 a month teaching English to like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds with no experience teaching at all. So
That's crazy.
Absolutely loved it. I thought it was my passion at the time, but I have ADHD, so I have lots of passions, and I have the roller skates under my bed to prove it. So I started teaching, and then I was really good at it, and I built up a rapport with like the parents, and then all of a sudden they started referring me to I've got a friend who needs a tutor for their kid. Will you teach them after school? So then I started teaching during the day, and then I was teaching students after school, and then building up this network of parents and teachers and schools. And then all of a sudden I was working every day of the week, 7 days a week until 8 p.m. at night.
Whoa.
And I couldn't do it anymore, even though I loved it. So I started referring. I was like, oh, I've got this friend, this teacher, I'll refer you to them, and then I realized this business opportunity that I could actually be making a profit from the referrals that I was making. And so what I did was I set up my first business, which is my education company, Network Tutors, in Hong Kong. And I started hiring sort of freelance teachers and then matching them with students and then taking a cut of the lesson price. And that grew so organically. I did have social media and a website that I designed myself, but I didn't really need it because it all came from word of mouth. They just kept asking me, do you have a tutor? Do you have a tutor? So, it grew. I was driving a Tesla after like 2 months. So that's what I'm saying. It was the land of opportunity. You could literally do anything that you wanted. And I just felt so free to do that. And I loved teaching so much that I ended up doing my postgraduate in education as well, while working full time and running the new business over there.
And you were able to do that. And you were able to do that out there. So your degree is from a Hong Kong university?
No, it's from a UK university. So what they did, it's from the University of East London, and they have, I guess, evaluators and people that come to that are all over the world, and they were able to come into my school and assess me and watch me in the workplace. And yeah, I just submitted all my work online. And then it was funny because then when I graduated, it was near COVID time, and my graduation was the following year, and I was able to come back to the UK for my graduation, which
Oh
was
my
fun as well.
goodness.
Yeah. So
That's
anyway,
incredible.
yeah, started my business. That was my very first business. And like I said, COVID happened and everything went online. School, education, tutoring all went online. And then that's when my daughter said to me, can we go back to the UK? Because she was at GCSE time, and the Hong Kong education system is crazy difficult. The kids are super smart. The expectations for the kids is super high. Like anytime my daughter came back to the UK, she had a tutor to keep up with her education, and the tutor would be saying to her, "You're 2 years ahead. You're 2 years ahead of where you should be." But actually, in Hong Kong, she was at the bottom of her class, kind of like mid to bottom of her class. She wasn't excelling in any way, but in the UK standards, she was. So she was like, I want to go back to the UK. I want to be top of the class. So
Yeah. I want
that's
to be
what
two
we
years
did.
ahead and breeze through.
Exactly. So we came back to the UK. She did her GCSEs. She did her A levels, and she's now a qualified dental nurse working in Scotland, which is awesome. And then I stayed here. But you know what I realized is I was still running my Hong Kong business online part-time, and I was teaching in the schools in the UK, which is a completely different kettle of fish than Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, the kids they respect their teacher. They're really disciplined. They want to learn. They're really well behaved. And I won't go into the UK education system because I'm sure you know what that's like.
I dread
But I was, again, at my wit's end. I'm like, what do I do? What is my passion? I thought teaching was my passion. And then a teacher came to me and asked me to come up with like a flyer advertisement for their own tutoring business. And I did it, and they said, oh my God, this is like so cool. Have you ever thought about doing graphic design? And I was like, well, I've been doing graphic design for the longest time. I had a Canva account, as does everyone.
Yeah.
And I was just doing everything on Canva. I did all my graphics for my first business, my website, everything was done on Canva. But I love graphic design. And I was reading this book at the time called Ikigai. Now, I absolutely love everything to do with Japanese culture. If you've got any Japanese listeners out there, I learned Japanese myself because, like I said, ADHD, you get obsessed with something and you just go 100% in. So Ikigai basically is a Japanese philosophy of finding one's purpose in life and how you can do that. And that's what I was looking for. I'm like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? And I kept listening to all these podcasts. They're like, find your purpose, find your purpose.
Yeah.
Like, and
it's not that easy.
Exactly. But Ikigai, what it does is actually a Venn diagram. So the circles that overlap. So there's 3 circles. Some have 4 circles. And basically each circle is 1, what do I love to do? Number 2, what does the world need? And number 3 is what can I sell? Like what can be monetized? And then whatever you write in those circles that overlap in the middle, that's usually your life's purpose. So for me, it's what do I love to do? Graphic design. What does the world need? Help with graphic design, branding help, logos, graphics. And then what can I sell? Graphic design services. So that was the aha moment. And that's when I felt, now this is a little bit woo-woo, but if you know anything about angel numbers, 1111, if you keep seeing 1111, it means that you're on the right path. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's why I named my graphic design studio 1111 Graphics. And I went all into this new business. I did all my Adobe certification, re-educated myself. I think that's super important if you want to change careers or if you want to find your purpose, get good at what it is that you enjoy. So I did that. And then I started networking. Now, the second business was completely different from the first business. Like I said, the first business grew organically, word of mouth. People came to me. I couldn't handle it. Second business, super slow. Crickets. But that was to be expected. Nobody knew me. Nobody knew my work. I didn't really have that much work to show, to be honest. So nobody trusted me. And it was just really difficult. So what did I do? Networking. Now, you know all about this. It's all about who you know and not what you know. The experts that you see are not always the experts. There's so many people that are behind the scenes doing what they do, but no one even knows about them. No one knows their name. And it's just all about visibility and putting yourself out there. So I started networking, 2, 3, 4 networking events a week to try and get myself out there. And then that's when I realized, so actually let me show you for the people who are watching video. I have this little folder, and inside are all the business cards that I get given at networking events, so I can keep them handy. And if I'm ever like, I need someone for this, like I look for my little file. So, but as people were handing me their business cards, I'm looking at them thinking, girl, you need my help. This logo is terrible.
Thanks your business card, but it's shit. Can I help?
Yeah, and they're all the same. Like literally, they all fit into this little same size, same. They're all white. They're all blue. Like nothing that different from them. Oh, I love that.
Mine's blue. So this.
Oh, you've also got it. What do they call that when it's shiny? Like yeah. I love that.
This is obviously raised, and then on the back, this one was supposed to be like indented, so you could feel it and not see it.
Yeah.
But they messed that up. But yeah, mine is blue.
I love it.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that. You're just being nice.
No, I'll show you mine. We'll share business cards. Actually, I've got 2 business cards. So my original graphic design is this one.
That's cool.
And it's got my QR code in the back that takes you straight to my website, but kind of different. I also, same with you, I wanted this to be raised and sort of tactile.
Yeah.
But they also messed that up. So, and then
the same place
one is my brand cult business card, which is like a little mini newspaper with the headline on the top.
I like that. So I have gone controversial. This is my second business card. I have it on my phone. I am fully digital. And then obviously that QR code goes to the website. And my kind of premise on that, A, was because I was really tight for money. And B, was that everything I do is online anyway. So I figured that that's quite a nice, like, continuous, and the sort of people that are my clients are the sort of people that will scan a QR code. Whereas the sort of people that are my clients for UCO won't scan a QR code. There's no way. Because they need someone like me to do that side of the tech for them. So that's why. Because everyone's like, why do you have a QR code? I'm like, because my clients won't.
Yeah.
They won't do it.
So that's great. I mean, right there, you know your clients, you know how your clients work. You're in the mind of your client is perfect. Yeah, and it's great to have options as well. I mean, I've been to so many networking events where they've offered me their digital business cards, scan them. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Actually, no, the QR code ones are okay. The ones that don't work are, they've got a business card, so it's like physical, and it's kind of like metal. And then they tap it. The NFT ones never work.
No.
So anyone listening that are thinking about business cards, just go old school. Get a paper one.
I have, it's called Blink. Now, I don't pay for it, so I do have the free version, and I'm going to absolutely just out my screen and everything. So it sits, so you know on your phone, obviously that's your home screen. If you slide across, it sits there, and if you scan that, it goes to a QR code, but it also then saves all your credentials,
your contacts,
straight into their phone.
Nice. And that it's called Blink.
Blink.
I'll have to look that up.
BLINQ. And yeah, you can... So I then have everything, and you can literally go straight to callers, my LinkedIn, my website, and Instagram, and everything. It goes onto their phone, and they can just click save.
That's perfect.
That's another option.
Yeah, I'll definitely need to look into that, because I don't have anything digitally other than my LinkedIn. And then I have to teach them how to get their LinkedIn codes up as well.
Yeah, I get that. So talk to me a little bit about brand cult, because you clearly have an aptitude for business, even before you had businesses, working as many jobs as you've had. I think it's really interesting when you talk to founders. My partner will always make fun of me because I'll be like, oh yeah, I worked for a shoe shop. Oh yeah, I worked for an estate agent. Oh yeah, I worked in a gym. I worked in a kitchen. I'm a qualified bowling mechanic.
What's a bowling mechanic?
Like a bowling machine, when they break, I am qualified to fix it.
Wow, that's very niche.
Very. That's always my party. Like, tell me a fun fact about you. I am a bowling mechanic a bowling machine up to 2015. I am qualified to fix that. So there you go. I'm a great person to take bowling. I do think most entrepreneurs have this in common, where we will do anything by any means necessary to succeed. Success obviously looks different for everybody, but we will do whatever we have to succeed. So when you were starting the thoughts about brand cult, what is it? If we kind of go back to your purpose, what was missing for you to think that this is the business that needs to be created next?
Yeah, that's a great question. So basically, I felt limited in the amount of people that I could help with my design skills.
Okay.
So I'm only one person. I can only help a couple of clients every month max. And I wanted to help more people. And maybe it's the teacher in me. Maybe I just love helping. Really, I love helping other founders, other business owners. I was just eager to just get to a wider amount of people. And some people have came to me and said, "Oh, it's a very smart thing you've done there, starting a newspaper to get clients." And I'm like, no, it's not about getting clients.
No.
What I'm doing with Brand Cult is giving founders and entrepreneurs a tool, a resource that they can use to do their own branding. So they don't need to come to me unless they really want to. But I want to give them the chance, because everyone's starting out. Obviously, we don't have massive budgets to hire designers and get full brand identities. It's expensive if you want it done properly. So I just want to give them a fighting chance and to do it right, because branding is more important than you think. The reason that we buy from brands like Apple and McDonald's and Coca-Cola or any big brands is because of the branding. It's not because of the product most of the time. You know, it's how it makes us feel. And I just want to give, like I said, businesses that opportunity. So Brand Cult came about because I was brainstorming. I was thinking, what do I do? Do I build a community of lots of founders where I can give tips and tricks? Or do I start a newsletter, a paid for newsletter? Or I was like throwing around all these ideas. And the one thing that they all had in common was they were all online and they had all been done before. There are many different communities, and there's many newsletters. And to be honest, as someone who works from home on their computer all day, I didn't want to sit at nighttime scrolling through blogs and articles and newsletters. I know personally that a lot of newsletters that I sign up to sometimes just get binned or never read anyway because I'm too busy. So what Brand Cult is I found a niche, not a niche, what do they call it? A space in the marketplace.
Like a gap.
A gap in the marketplace. I knew of a lot of magazines, design magazines in the US, and I had looked at getting them for myself because I wanted inspiration and I wanted to look at what other people in the branding world were doing. And they were all in America and they were all super expensive to ship over to the UK. And I was like, we need something here. We need something here for business owners to have a look at. Tangible. Switch off your laptop, stop doom scrolling, and after your dinner you just open up your newspaper. It's fun, it's broken down, curated from industry experts. It's not just like fluff that you just see on your For You page. So that's how Brand Cult came about. And I'm super excited that everyone's happy to rally up and support it and collaborate as well.
Do you know what? That was one of the things. So when obviously I subscribed, obviously I'd met you previously, and I was really excited, exactly that, to have something tangible. And also there was that little bit of, I know nostalgia marketing is back. Well, not back, but it's here. But it was that, I don't know if you would have been, because obviously I know that we're slightly different in age. There were these like mouse dolls that we used to collect, but every month you'd get a different outfit, a different magazine. And then you could have boxes with like all the magazines side by side. So then you could pull out different themed magazines. And when you were first talking to me about Brand Cult, I thought, how amazing would it be to have a shelf with all of the newspapers lined up. So whenever I need something about X, I can just pull it up and I've got it there. Because I'm dyslexic and I'm one of those, there's like all these organization types. I think it's a butterfly that I am, which is like, I need everything out and in front of me that I can see. So when I'm working on a big screen there, I need the paper there in front of me with everything that I need to know. And then my keyboard here. And to be able to have that without having to add another monitor, I was like, I'm immediately sold.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And that is the whole point of it. And the amount of people have said to me, oh, will it be online? Or is this a newsletter? And I'm like, no, it's a newspaper. It will be printed and you'll be able to keep it. And like I said, it won't be like any other newspaper. It will be something that you can go back to. And the advice will be there, tutorials on how to make pitch decks and how to, just improve your business. And it'll be like a little sort of dictionary, encyclopedia of help for business owners.
If you're a chocolate lover, and let's be honest, who isn't, you're going to adore sapphire chocolates. Founded by an entrepreneur on a mission to craft beautifully indulgent chocolates that taste as amazing as they look. Every bite is just pure joy. Whether it's treating yourself or gifting someone extra special, Sapphire chocolates are irresistibly good. And they're even sweeter with our code, ALLOON10 for 10% off. Check everything out at sapphire.co.uk. I love that. Now, I want to kind of dive into a little bit more detail about the branding side. Well, obviously, I've started 2 businesses and I spend a lot of time, by the nature of my business, talking to founders. And I think online there's this big, just start. There's this big movement of just start your business, which I do agree with. I started Alloon well before I was ready. I had no idea what it was going to be. And same with Uko. I started that by accident. And, here we are 2.5, 3 years later. But where's the kind of not boundary, but where's the compromise, I guess, with just start and branding is super important? Because I do understand, I think that we don't quite realize how important branding is, or kind of the extent. It's like you said, it's not just a logo and a couple of colors, it's everything. So where is the line to someone listening to this who goes, well, I've kind of started the business and it's up and kind of going? How much time should they put into the branding, or should they just start?
So this is a great question, and it's super relevant to me at the moment because I'm actually rebranding my own design agency, 1111 Graphics, because like you said, it's amazing to just start, and you should just start with whatever ideas that you have. However, I'm a big believer in going with your gut. That's why I'm so spontaneous of moving countries and doing the things that I've done. Just do it. Yeah. And the amazing thing about branding is that you can rebrand and upgrade your branding at any time. And it's not frowned upon because companies do it all the time. Yeah. They might be slight changes, but people like Coca-Cola, they've rebranded themselves several times. Many of the big brands have. Google have just recently unveiled their new rebrand, which is very, very minimal. They basically went from having the G was all different colors and they were very sharp. They had like sharp lines where the colors started and stopped. Yeah. And now they've just sort of ombreed and made it more seamless and smooth transition, blended them all together. And that was very small, but it's a rebrand. Yeah. And we evolve as people, and we evolve as business owners, and so should your branding. So what I started off with 1111 Graphics, I always loved it. I put so much effort into it. I put like 2 months of my time building my website by myself with no code experience. And I do love it, but it doesn't feel like it reflects me right now. Okay. So I have this thing called a brand theme. So now this is not for everyone. This is basically a concept that is completely different from your business. So for me, I've always wanted to be an author. Since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be an author. That's why I decided to do English literature as my major. I always loved writing, reading books. And so even though I'm a graphic designer, my brand theme is storytelling and authorship. And I present myself, I use it as a way to present myself and differentiate myself from other graphic designers in the way that I am your brand author. I'm here to tell your story, your brand story. I'll teach you how to explain your legend. So I use all these sort of storytelling puns and ways to put across, but that is my brand theme. And then there's other ones as well. There's another graphic designer. Her name is Isa from Studio Koya. She's amazing. And her brand theme is food, because she loves food. So she's a graphic designer. So everything is like her, she's your brand chef, and she can put your branding in the oven to bake. And she uses a lot of bread and dough puns. And so it's just really fun. And it's a fun way to put your message across in a different way, rather than like, I'll do your branding, or come to me for your logo design, or, just makes it more fun. So,
I love that.
Not sure where I was going with that, but to answer your question, don't worry about the branding. It will evolve. Just get it out there and see what works. And, subscribe to Brand Cut, because we'll help you. Yeah.
Cheeky plug. So if I came to you and I said, I've got £1,000 to spend on my branding, I am well aware, as someone who's been self-employed and who offers a service base, that £1,000 doesn't go that far. Where would you put that? If I said, I this is all I have, where is the best use for me to spend that 1,000?
Usually, the way it works is branding comes in a whole package. It's not just like, oh, I'll spend $200 on a new logo. That's never usually the case. And if a designer offers to do that for you, I would probably see that as a red flag,
Okay.
because yeah, your brand is more than just the logo and it's more than just the colors. That designer has really got to dig deep, and it's about the strategy behind your branding as well. So £1,000 would maybe get you a brand identity, which is
Okay.
the full package: logo, the colors, but like I said, what they are conveying to your so for example, I'm working on a brand project at the moment, and she's an accountant, and she's youthful, she's Gen Z, she's fun, she gives advice to other sort of younger generation, but she has to try and balance professional accountancy, finance, with being young and authentic to herself.
Yeah.
Her branding's got to reflect who she is. So she's not just going to
Yeah.
go for the sort of old white
White and
businessman type
blue.
branding with the same blues that every other accounting and financing goes with. We might actually use blue because that's her favorite color, but we're going to make it fun. We're going to
Yeah.
contrast it with lots of other fun colors and maybe fun typography. And that's then sending a message to her clients and her audience about who she is as a
Okay.
person and as a business. So that's why branding is important. It's not just about like, oh, I'll give you a color palette, here you go. It's about what that color palette tells to your audience. So it
Okay.
is really important to get the whole package and not just like pay here and there for bits and pieces. It's got to be
Yeah.
cohesive.
Okay, that does make sense. With accounting, my accountant actually, she is called, I think on Instagram and TikTok, she's Emily Vass Accounting. I'll
Yes.
send it to you. I don't know if you've seen. I guess
Yeah,
you've
I
seen
know
that.
Emily. Yeah.
Her branding is phenomenal, and it reminds me, like say, she's young, she's excited, she's so informative, and she honestly is phenomenal. Anyone who's
Mhm.
looking for an accountant, I'd highly recommend her, but just don't steal too much of her time because I need her.
It's
But
funny that you should mention her, because when I start a branding project with my clients, I do some competitor analysis, and
nice.
Emily was actually listed as one of her competitors. So I had a deep dive into Emily's branding myself to see what her positioning was and to see what her strengths were and what her weaknesses were, because this is what you should do for any business
Yeah.
owner. You should be looking at your competitors, and it's not to spy on them or steal from them. Oh, they're doing this trend, I'll do it too. But
No.
it's really to learn what's working for them, what's not working for them, what do I like, what I don't like. And that's basically what I did with Emily's branding.
I
And you're
do think
right,
it's
it's
great.
super youthful and fun, and
Yeah.
yeah, I
It's
think.
that non-confrontational. Like I say, my previous two accountants were white and blue logos, white and blue branding. They were stuffy, and I ended up getting pretty much everyone on the internet that's followed me has heard me now about my £5,000 fine from having poor advice. And when I'd met her previously, she actually joined Orloon, and that's how I got to know her. And I was like, she just makes it feel so much less intimidating.
Mm.
And I guess the branding, that she feels safe and secure, but still knowledgeable. I
Mhm.
trust her with everything. She has literal control of everything, but I still don't feel scared of the
Yeah.
accounting side.
And that was the color. She uses the soft pink pastel colors to
Yeah.
evoke like warm and trustworthy feelings. She uses
Yeah.
soft imagery like flowers, and yeah, so
I
that's
just
what
think
branding can do for you. And
it's
also, she's probably a
crazy.
super nice person as well.
She is actually just genuine, super nice person. I do think it's really hard, and I would love to kind of hear a little bit about when you first started Brand Cult and where you kind of see it going. So you've mentioned that there's going to be lots of advice in there and strategies and things to help to help me build my branding. But I've heard a rumor that you may have had a few interviews that would be super interesting. How's that playing a part? What's the kind of strategy going forward for Brand Cult?
Yeah, so obviously I've given you my story, and you know that I don't have a decade's worth of graphic design or branding experience.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to make sure that I was giving the best advice and the best industry experts in Brand Cult. So basically the layout of Brand Cult is there'll be 1 to 2 industry expert interviews in each issue. There will also be 2 UK businesses featured, any size, big to small, and basically talking about their experiences and their journey based on whatever that issue is that month. And then there's also a space for guest columnists to share their thoughts and experiences as well. Same again, usually experts in their field based on whatever the topic is. So our first issue, I'll show you here. We have it printed hot off the press.
I'm so excited.
Right here.
Oh my God, look at it.
It's
Why
really
am I
pretty.
so
I'm
obsessed?
not
Oh,
going
and
to
it's
open
so
it
Mean
for you.
Girls.
But the very first issue is why am I so obsessed? And it's about obsession in the business world and why we get so obsessed about brands. And I came across Lucy McLeod, who is the founder of Hair Syrup. And Lucy's story is fascinating to me. Basically, I'll give you a quick summarized version. During COVID, she was at her parents' house. She was having problems with her hair being damaged all the time and nothing working. So she came up with a formula in her parents' conservatory to fix her dead ends. And she had 3 followers on TikTok. She went on TikTok and was just wanting to share with everyone, like, oh, look, this really worked for me. This is so cool. I came up with this myself. And she went absolutely viral. And she built up such a massive following on TikTok. Everyone's like, I need this. Can you sell this? We need this. So she did all of her branding on Canva, her first, and she was sticking on labels herself, doing it all DIY from the scratch. And basically, it got so out of hand that she went on Dragon's Den. She was featured on Dragon's Den. She asked them for investment and mentorship, and they basically turned her down. She got one sort of crappy offer, which was a bit of a take piss, and then they basically said, we don't want to get involved with another TikTok brand, another TikTok trend, another TikTok business. And so she was like, you know what, fine. And she walked away with the rejection. But what that did, because she already had this, she'd built this cult following on TikTok all organically. When her followers saw her rejection, what did it do? What do you think?
I support you.
Yeah, they rallied behind her like crazy and pushed her up even more, so much more that she's now estimated to make something like 8.6 million next year. Yeah, she's already sitting at between 4 and 6 million this year, 2025, and it's all 100% organic. Like, she doesn't pay for ads. It's all engagement with her clients and her customers on TikTok. So kind of getting off topic, but basically I interviewed Lucy for our first issue, and this is the kind of founders that I want to spotlight and just share their experience and their journey. She's a 20-something-year-old girl that went from nothing to, $1 million business, £1 million business. Sorry, I'm still stuck in America sometimes. So yeah, so industry experts and UK businesses. I also have Tyler Aromatherapy has also got the center spread in Brand Cult this month as well. And I haven't really mentioned them very much, but they've also built a cult following, because basically there's a sort of joke about, like, I want to start a business. What business should I start? It's usually a candle business. No offense against candle business owners, because I love candles, but that is usually it's usually the first thing we think of. I don't know why, but she managed to turn just a candle business into another TikTok cult following. Her candles are like upwards of 20 to 40 pounds for a candle, but people love them, and it's all to do with her branding, the way she comes across, her authentic self as well. Yeah, so bringing it back to your point, also, if any of your listeners want to be featured or want to guest column write, they can find me on LinkedIn, and I'll be putting links on Brand Cult's website as well, so you can register your interest if you want to get featured or write or even advertise in Brand Cult. So yeah.
So I have a kind of super quick question before we go on to our final 2 questions that I ask every guest. If you had to choose, what is more important, your product or your branding?
Okay, let me think for a second.
If you had a terrible product but amazing branding, would it do better than an amazing product with rubbish branding?
So before, maybe even just a couple of months ago, I would have said your branding is more important, because branding will put your product out there and people will love it based on your branding and buy it. But if it isn't a good product, they won't rebuy.
Yes.
But I'm in two minds because there's some businesses out there that are massive and they've got terrible branding. And to be honest, I think it's because they provide a good service and they know their target audience. And so, for example, there's like trucking companies and they've been around for donkey's years and they've got terrible branding, but people know them and people know what they do and people know what they get.
Yeah.
And they'll go with it. If it's a good service and they know what they get with it, then they'll go with it, whether it's good branding or not. So, but I do lean towards more like having good branding.
I think about Range Rover. We all know they break. Every person I know with a Range Rover hates it. I don't know a single person who's bought one that's ever loved it, but we still want one. We still associate it with a status, with a wealth, with a title, and people buy them.
Yeah. Wait, your volume's a little bit low. I can't quite hear you.
Is that better?
No.
Oh, that's so weird. Let's see what's happened.
Yeah, it was fine before.
That's so strange. Nothing's changed.
Maybe I should put my volume up.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah. So I didn't actually hear you what you said that you.
Oh, that's okay. I can go again.
Yeah. Okay.
I often think that about Range Rovers because I've never met a single person who has a Range Rover and loves it. They always break. We know they break. We know that they're not good quality, yet we all strive, not we all, that's such a generalization. We see majority of people striving to want one, and you get to a certain level of maybe wealth and you purchase one and then you instantly hate it, but we still keep them because they're synonymous with this status.
Actually, I've got a good example as well. So I mentioned that I was driving a Tesla in Hong Kong after a couple of months, and I got my Tesla before the whole Elon Musk era of craziness. I also only really got it because, well, one, you get a tax break in Hong Kong because it's electric. So there was that, but mostly because of the status symbol, like to show like, I am where I am. Look what I've done.
Yeah.
But now I am in the UK. I kind of want another Tesla, but not because of the status symbol, because I've had one before and I know it's a really good car. It's really trustworthy. I loved it. But now I wouldn't buy a Tesla because of the branding. And it's not the colors or the logo, but it's because of Elon Musk and what he represents.
Yeah.
That puts me off buying his car, even though I know the car is a really good product. It's really worth the money. It's amazing, but I will not buy it because of what they represent, because he is an extension of his brand. He has his own personal brand, which is linked to his business. So for anybody out there who have both, you know, it's sometimes a hybrid model between personal branding and business branding. And so if you, even though you've got a good product, like a really beautiful Tesla, people won't buy it if your branding or your personal branding don't match their belief system. You know?
No, I 100% agree. I follow and talk about her quite a lot, Amelia Sordell, in her book, The Personal Branding Playbook. And one of the biggest things that stuck with me was actually her saying, if you are doing your founder journey and you have your personal brand, which she obviously massively advocates for, make sure what you show up as online is who you are. Because if someone meets you in person and you don't match, that trust is immediately broken. And that's that. You ruined it. So when I first started recording on TikTok, I'm like most people, I was nervous, I was shy, I always put a full face of makeup on, that, perfectly, I was like, this isn't me. That is so not, I am chaos in a person. I couldn't be more chaotic if I tried. And actually I started to show that and talk about, here's how I'm trying to not be chaotic, and here's me, I've rolled out of bed, I struggle with bad skin when I'm on my period and I have endometriosis, and today I've rolled around in Pringles and done nothing.
Yeah.
And actually that now when people do meet me, they feel like they already know me because that is who I am, and I'm finding my conversions are actually much higher in person because people already know who I am.
I'm the same. I think everybody's been there. And so, for example, like when I do my interviews with industry experts, I usually do them online via Google Meets. And a couple of times, like in the beginning, I'd put like my blazer on and be like all ready to go. And now, like, same, I'm not like that. I love just living in a hoodie. So now I'll do them with a hoodie on. So and then you get to know me. This is who I am. Same with networking meetings as well. Like I'm going networking after this. I'll be going to the marketing conference, DMWF it's called, in London. And I'm just going with jeans. I'm not dressing up to meet anybody. I am who I am. You get what you get.
Yeah, I know, I 100% agree. I do think it's really hard. I live in gym wear, but I won't go in gym wear to a networking event, but I will go in, let's say, jeans and a nice top. But that's how you would see me, whether I'm going to Tesco, whether I'm going out for brunch, whether I'm going to networking. That's who my identity is. I don't have a workwear wardrobe. I have my wardrobe and I will select something out of that. And like I say, I think that reads, you can see who I am straight away. When I'm on podcast, I wear my 3 brand colours. Obviously, I have the grey, the yellow, and the pink. But beyond that, it's still me. This is a Primark sports t-shirt. It's the right colour, but it is just me.
Yeah. But it's difficult in the same respect. And I'm not sure if it's me, but I, a lot of the time, feel that I don't fit in to any sort of group. So, like, the business founder, boss babe type group, I also don't really feel like I fit in there. And when I see all these business founders doing their headshots with their snazzy blazers on, I'm like, do I need to dress like that? Do I need to fit into that group? I'm still on the fence whether I do or not. I want to do some new headshots and stuff, and I think I'm just going to wear a hoodie and jeans and see.
I would say do both, to be honest. So I have obviously the 2 businesses. Uco business is a little bit more formal because of the type of people I work with. It's still me, but it's slightly more formal. I wear blues and whites, and that's all I wear. But Uco, Orloon is much, like I say, it's much more me. My headshots, I wore a bright pink all-in-one. I wore bright yellow, and it was all much more casual. I whipped out my boutons that I can't walk in, so all the pictures are static. But it's much more who I am. And I think one of my sort of things in terms of headshots would be going either, obviously, I know you're a bit further away from us, but our event that we did with Orloon, where we all went, that was so much more natural because we had a big group of girls. But there's Candid Studios in London. You've probably heard of them.
Yeah, I'm in contact with the founders of Candid, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. You're like a fountain of people. But you feel so much more relaxed, I think, in an environment like that things come across a bit more organically in terms of headshots.
No, I mean, I'm considering them. I also have met a bunch of brand photographers at all the networking events. And what I love to do, though, is like, I don't really like transactional ways to work with people. I don't want to, well, I mean, obviously people want to get paid for what they do, but a lot of the time I'm able to say to them, like, I'll give you this if you can give me a discount on some photography or something like that. It's always great to work. So that's another good tip for business owners. If you don't have the budget, is there something that you can provide them that they can then in return? So there's no money changing hands. You just sort of, service for service sort of thing.
100% agree. One of the girls in the All-In group said, obviously emails is my specialty. Can I help? I need help with emails. I can't afford you. I was like, okay, well, what can you do? If I just help you, I'm sure you have this specialty. You'll be able to help me at some point. And I do think that a lot of the male business world is built on that a lot more than we think it is. If they do it, why can't we?
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
Right. I would love to wrap it up. I feel like I have just so many questions. I feel like you have led the most interesting life. Honestly, when you were talking about your sort of the life story at the beginning, it belongs in a book. I have just finished reading a Freedom McFadden book and I was like, oh my God, any minute there's going to be a murder or something. Like, you moved to New York, you moved to Hong Kong. I honestly think you're probably one of the most interesting people. You need to interview yourself for your magazine.
Interview myself.
Sorry. So there's an easy question and a hard question. Which would you prefer first?
Oh, give me the hard one.
Everyone says hard question.
I like a challenge.
What is something that you don't know, whether it's about business or running a business, entrepreneurship, that you feel that you probably should know? So, for example, I said tax and accounting. I once said I didn't understand how TikTok worked, which I have since learnt. Just as a kind of a couple of examples, something that you would maybe not necessarily be embarrassed to admit, but you think everyone else knows and you don't.
That's a good question. It's kind of tough because I feel like I'm a very confident person, not to toot my own horn. I know I don't know everything, but I guess what sets me apart is that I'm willing, like I'm very self-aware and I'm willing to learn. I love learning. So if I know like, oh, you kind of suck at marketing, then I will go and learn it. But I guess to answer your question, something that I don't know would probably be more about like who I don't know. I'm always like really aware like of like different groups of people, and like I want to know the best of the best. I want to be in the circles where you probably know the saying, like you are who you surround, like the 5 or 10 people that you surround yourself with, you become like them.
Yeah.
And I want to be in that circle. I want to surround myself with people like me. So I'm always very aware of like, do I know the right people? Am I spending enough time with the right people? I'm going to all these networking events. Are they the right people?
Yeah.
You know, and I guess I'm not ashamed to admit it, but like I want to be more intentional about the people I meet. And also, like, I never want to put over like a fakeness. I want to genuinely make connections with them. It's not about like, you're good at this and you have $1 million in business, I want to be your friend. It's more just like, I want to learn from them. I want to be surrounded by them. And that's, I never quite know, like, are they the right people? So that's why I keep searching and keep going to networking events as well. Yeah.
I love that. I think that's a really good answer, actually. I do agree. I think a lot of the time it can be seen, especially from women, as like, not social climbing, but almost business climbing. Like, say, oh, they're worth more, so I'll get in with them. It's not about that. Like, say, it's about, well, you've done it, so I'd love to get to know you and understand how you've done that, and not how I can copy, but how can I replicate that success in what I'm doing, which is very different.
I guess that would be business tip number 1 is try and get a mentor. Try and find someone who's done what you want to do and learn from them. And I think if you find someone like that and connect with them on LinkedIn and ask them questions, I think they'd be really quite receptive to helping you, because you're not trying to sell them anything. You know, you're generally like, how did you do this? Or could you give me any tips on how this happened? And, you know, that's really amazing to like learn from other people and get a mentor to help you get to where they are.
People are so much more receptive than you think they're going to be. I reached out to someone who is based in London, but essentially does something very similar to Orloon. And I basically just said, wow, you have built what I would love to build. Can you provide any sort of info? And I asked a couple of more specific questions, and she came back and she was like, oh my god, yeah, of course, like I did this and this is how long this took me, these were things, kind of mistakes almost that I made. And she was really helpful. And you know what, there was no bad blood. She actually emailed me back a few weeks ago and was like, I actually have a question about emails, can I pick your brains? I was like, oh my god, yeah, of course. And it's that tit for tat, isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm afraid to ask. And again, I'm quite a confident person, so I'm happy to go up to somebody and say, how did you do that?
Yeah.
I do think not everybody is, but you should be, even if it's via email or LinkedIn or social media, that building that connection will serve you so much better in the long run.
Absolutely. Definitely.
So your final nice and easy question. I ring you up and I say, right, I'm in Starbucks. What am I picking up for you?
I would say, get the hell out of there. I hate Starbucks. Literally.
Coffee shop.
No, I don't drink coffee or tea. I'd say, buy yourself something nice on me.
Fair enough. No one drinks tea or coffee anymore.
Yeah, I've just never had a taste for it. It's a waste of money. I'm addicted to everything else, so why add something else onto the list?
So what do you drink? What's sat on your desk right now? Is it just water?
White Monster is my go-to, but I only let myself have one a day. That's all I'm allowed, and I have it the first thing in the morning, and yeah, that's all I have until lunchtime. Keeps me going.
Oh, I'm a 3-drink cycle kind of person.
I'm terrible.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like I've learned so much about you and about branding as well. I'm going to go away and sit and look at my own brand back. I am super excited to receive my first edition of the Brand Cult. Is it too late for anyone to subscribe for the first one?
No, there's still time. It will probably get mailed out on Thursday or Friday. It's supposed to arrive on Monday, but people might get their issues Saturday, depending on the mail and some. But yeah, there's definitely time to get your copy. But actually, by the time this podcast goes out, probably not.
This will be next week.
It will be July's issue. July's issue is all about mindset, and it's all about rebranding your mindset as a founder and a business owner. And we've got some really amazing interviews lined up. One is with Matt Essam. He is a 7-figure business coach. And so we unpack all the details on how to rebrand your mind to get into that 7-figure business mindset.
That's so exciting. Well, you heard it here first. Get into the July issue because you've missed the first issue, I'm afraid. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been amazing. And I can't wait to see what's to come.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's been a delight. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Orloon Off the Course, the space where women building businesses don't do it alone. If you loved today's episode, make sure to hit subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with a fellow founder who needs to hear this. I'm Hattie, and I'll see you next time.